If Epstein didn't get your children, Gates will.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. I hope you're doing well. So, folks, today I'm going to quickly tell you about how it went going to the first day of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial yesterday. Not much happened, and the little bit that did happen, I had to leave before it happened. I got down there at 7:30 a.m. I made the mistake of drinking a cup of coffee strong enough to kill a horse before I went, and then got down there and realized there is no bathroom. I mean, there's like beyond no bathroom down there by the federal courthouse. So I get down there around 7:30. I made that video that I posted yesterday. Everybody is like, yes, you're there. So excited for the scoop and for your coverage. And I'm all ready to go and excited and pumped up from everybody else's excitement, and I get in line and I'm like, whatever, all right, so I have to pee so bad I might die. That's all right. I'm here. I got a decent spot in line. Say it's 7:45 at that point. 7:45 comes and goes. 8:45 comes and goes. 9:45 comes and goes, and the trial's supposed to start at 9:30, and a lot of the press is just sitting there in that line freezing. It was below freezing with the wind, and we were in total concrete shade by the buildings. If we would have been in the sun, it would have been a lot better. But everybody's freezing. I wore like quality merino wool long underwear that I used to wear climbing mountains before we almost died in climbing one in Peru. So I have like quality long underwear, and even I was like, geez, it's cold out there. So there were other people that just grabbed their cool looking jacket that were just ice cubes. And the thing is supposed to start at 9:30, and it's 9:45, and nothing has happened. So there's people, you know, that have big salaries for big papers that are supposed to be there. So they all start freaking out like, what's going on? Why is this taking so long? They let 5 people go from that line up to a different line. And then those people stay at that line forever. It doesn't look like anything's happening. 10:30 comes around, and I finally just had to be like, leave the line. I went peed behind a car. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why do they do that? Why do they do this to us? So then I come back, I'm in line. Finally, I'm one of the 5 that gets to go to the other line up by the courthouse. This is what that looks like. Woo.
Teaches the John from this was opening statement. Of course. Yeah. Did you ever hear of Catherine Edland? I love her.
In that line for a while, again, people are freaking out. Oh yeah, when I was in the other line, another YouTuber actually that recognized me came up. I don't think he said his name yesterday. I didn't catch it, so sorry. Or if I ever knew it, I'm just blanking on it. But anyway, he comes up and goes, "You're a true crime loser, whoa!" And I was like, yeah. And so he joins me in line, which was cool. I mean, he asked me probably 200 questions in 15 minutes. But that's all right, I get it. And so I'm finally up at the other line. We think that it has started already. So everybody is kind of just like, great, we're missing it. We're freezing. I had to pee behind a car. And then you get the 5, you're up there, everyone's freezing, then you're finally in the courthouse, and you got to go up to this thing, and it's a QR code. You filled out a questionnaire for COVID. Then you get a QR code if you pass, I guess. So you hold your QR code up to this thing, then you put your face up to it. It takes your temperature. The problem is their machines were freezing, so I went up, and there's like a federal agent wearing like a white button-up, blue tie, blue blazer. They all have like gold pins and stuff. But there's a federal agent. He's going, hold your phone, hold the QR code. And I've just like been out freezing for hours. So I'm like he's like, hold it right there. And I'm like, oh, fuck, sorry. And then he goes, put your face in. And then the thing froze. And he like gets mad at me because the COVID temperature thing froze. So then we have to go to another one. So then I'm in another line waiting for airport style security, which beyond takes forever. I'm still in that group of 5. Oh yeah, here's what that part looks like. So then now you're waiting to go through like the metal detector and take your belt off and everything, but it's like as soon as my little group was about ready to like start that process, someone would come in. Oh, she's a juror for another trial. Okay, yeah, she's got to go first. So you're just sitting there, and they don't have enough people, and the COVID machines with the QR codes are freezing, and it just really takes the wind out of the sails to try to be able to get in there and do that. I got a 1-year-old puppy. Walter's over here sleeping, so I only have about 5 or 6 hours that I can be away from him. And I think I was a little bit naive, being like, all right, 5 or 6 hours should be something. I should be able to get in there, get some of the opening statements. But finally get into the viewing room, which was an empty courtroom. Anybody that's familiar with the federal courthouse in the Southern District of New York, it was room number 1506, so it's just a totally empty courtroom with wood walls and all of we sat in where like the gallery, I guess, where like the normal people had sat, but there was people sitting in the jury box, and we're just sitting in there. Finally, we're out of the cold, but now, because I'm wearing wool long underwear, I'm getting hot, and I'm like, should I go into the bathroom? But there's a federal agent that pretty much guards the door, and they lock it, so you got to go up to him and be like, I'm going to go get a drink, and he goes, okay. Or I'm going to go to the bathroom. So I would have had to say, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and then it's old building, tiny little old bathroom, so I don't want to be like taking off my pants and long underwear in this bathroom. Someone walks in, I get caught. They're like, this little freak was doing weird underwear things in the bathroom. So I just sat there. Nothing happens, and then the judge comes on. Again, this is probably like 11. Things supposed to start at 9. There's a big screen we're all watching it on in there. And so the judge comes on, and she goes, okay, we're getting ready. Let's bring the jury down to the jury room. So everyone's like relieved. Oh, it hasn't started. We haven't missed it yet. Perfect. So they bring the jury down to the jury room, and then the judge comes back on. All of these takes in between these like 10 or 15 minutes. So like nothing is happening. Everybody's just talking in the empty courtroom waiting for stuff to start. So the judge comes back on and goes, okay, one of the jurors wants to talk to me about their employer. They only get 2 weeks paid time off, and then it cuts into their paid vacation or whatever it is. They're having issues dealing with the jury duty. So I'm going to go talk to the juror and bring the courtroom reporter. Is that okay with both sides? And the defense and prosecution's like, yeah, that's cool. So the judge gets up, goes to the jury room. The courtroom reporter goes with her to have records. So then 10 minutes later, the judge comes back out and goes, all right, so I talked to the juror that's having trouble with their employer, the whole 2-week issue, and it looks like it's going to be an issue. So how do you think she asked the prosecution and the defense, how do you think we should handle this? And I think the defense said, well, you could call the employer. I've seen other times where for a big trial like this, that's very important, that if the judge calls the employer, then that can help, and maybe you can get it changed. So the judge goes, okay, yeah, I like that. I'll try that. So then the judge leaves again, the court reporter, they leave, 10, 15 minutes. So then she comes back, and she goes, okay, I called the juror's employer, and they said they're going to check on it. So just think, being that juror's employer, it's on Monday, you're sitting there, probably just get in. I don't know what the job is, but get in, get everything up and going, sitting at your desk, and then all of a sudden the phone rings. It's like, hello. And on the other line it goes, yes, hi. I'm the judge for the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, world trial. Everybody's paying attention to it. Well, anyway, it starts today, and one of your employees is on the jury. And then imagine going through all that, and then the employer goes, I'm going to have to check. And so the judge comes back again. It's like almost seems absurd. There's all these people. You wait 4 hours to get in. The whole world is paying attention, and everybody's spending time on, all right, how is this juror going to get off work? And then So the answer with that one is, all right, they're checking. The woman is going to check if they can have like another week of paid jury duty time. And then another juror got a trip, surprised with a big trip that's right around Christmas. So then they're dealing with that. And at that point, it's like noon. And just nothing has happened. I have to leave like around noon or 1. Then she goes, okay, well, I'm going to call back the jury or the employer, but let's just do break. And then she had already said when the break was over or when they actually get things going, they got to do the big process of telling the jury all of the just like preliminary stuff. I don't even know what it's called, but they kick off with a big speech to the jury about their duties and all that stuff. So I knew that was going to be next. And then lunch was coming after that, and I had to get back down to Walter. So before anything happened except the very interesting world news of the employer that needs to check, that's all I saw. And I left, honestly, feeling pretty discouraged with the wind out of my sails, being like, how am I going to, I'm not going to be able to do this, really, the way I was picturing it. I thought I had 5 or 6 hours, but in trial time, especially when it takes 4 hours to get in, and then if you leave for lunch, you got to do the whole thing again. You got to sit in there with a mask, sweating in wool-long underwear. So my new strategy, I think I'm going to go 1 or 2 more days, just try to be really strategic on which days I go, and then maybe leave a little bit later. So my lady comes home from work. She's a teacher, so she gets home pretty early, can come home and take over Walter, because the bulk of what happened yesterday, I think happened like 4:30 in the afternoon, like way after, hours after I had to leave. And kind of the funny thing is I got up at 5:30 in the morning, got down there, waited in line, had to pee behind a car, finally got in, was literally in the viewing room, watched the whole jury issues, then had to leave. And last night, just like everybody else, I was just on Google trying to figure out what happened, like on just CNN or, one of the stupid papers that were around me in line. And I'm like, how do I know the same about what happened is just some person out on the street when I went there? It's kind of a funny feeling. But it sounds like, and we have been joking about this for a whole year, because a big part of the pretrial stuff, this is what Ghislaine's defense was sticking with too. The big, my client is not Jeffrey Epstein. That sounds like the big strategy. The defense hit that. Sounds like a few times in the opening statements, which just is funny. And I've said this before, but how funny would that be if lawyers for other trials that weren't even like kid trafficking related use that? Like, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, my client is not Jeffrey Epstein. He's not. So that's something, right? So the big Ghislaine Maxwell is not Jeffrey Epstein was used, and sounds like the prosecution strategy is they were partner in crime. None of this would have happened without old Ghislaine. So I know a lot of people were very excited when I posted that video yesterday saying, can't wait for the detailed coverage, but they just really make it hard to get in there and watch the whole thing. I don't know why they don't just put it on TV and let everyone watch it. It's so nice to be able to like pause it and be able to come back to it, and just to be stuck for 8 hours a day in the federal courthouse, not even be really allowed to leave because you got to go through the huge process to come back in, really makes it tough. I was talking to a woman sitting right next to me, and she is just kind of a trial head. She's gone to a lot of the big trials in New York City. She lives right there by the courthouse, she said. And she said it used to be so much easier before COVID. You come in, there's a little line. If one person leaves, then they let someone in. It just, if there's room, they let you in. It was easy. It took 10 minutes. During lunch, you could leave, have a taco and a margarita, come back, catch the half day. But the 3.5 hours it takes to get in is just rough. And so like I said, I'm going to try to get back a day or two, going to wait for things to get going, and hopefully come back with something good for you guys. Do I have anything else about that? I don't think so. Just real quick, before I end this episode, I wanted to talk about, I'm very down that YouTube took the dislike button away. I think it was a huge mistake. I think it was a big part of what made YouTube great. They were saying they took it away to discourage trolls and, you got to save people. But really, I don't think that is a huge problem. I mean, sometimes there's a video that it becomes funny for everybody to dislike, and maybe the dislikes are way out of whack. But a very high percentage of the time, the like to dislike ratio is perfect. And having both of them is really very important. And I think we're all very used to it, because say it's late at night and you're YouTubing and you stumble on a video and it has 190 likes. Well, that doesn't really tell you anything. If it has 190 likes and 3 dislikes, all right, it's probably a solid video. But if it has 190 likes and 185 dislikes, then it's probably a scam video, or it's misleading, or there's a loud noise, or there's something. The dislike and the like, having both of them, it's a communication from a human that's been there before. It let you know when you're stumbling around the ocean of YouTube videos. It was like in a sci-fi movie when they get to another planet and years before someone else has been there and they left you a little message. It felt like that. And now it's just the likes, which without the dislikes, they don't really mean. You can't really tell anything. It's like, is this a scam video? I have no idea. I'm out here watching scam videos, clickbait videos. It's like, what a nightmare. The dislike button was needed, and it made YouTube what it is, and it's brutal and it's beautiful. And back before I started the True Crime Loser channel, I always think of this story. I had on my comedy channel, I had 250 subscribers, pretty much nothing, right? And I can't remember what video it was, but I worked really hard on this little short, funny video, or trying to be a funny video. Had the idea, got it filmed, edited it up, feeling good, really, put everything into it, uploaded it, and was just sitting there all right, I got one uploaded. There we go. Every one that you upload's a win. And I'm sitting there feeling good. And then there's just one dislike. So it's just no thumbs up, 1 thumbs down. Just all right, well, that's brutal. But again, it was part of YouTube. I really rely on it. And you can just quickly glance at it and know kind of what people before you have thought of the video. I hope they bring it back. I really just don't think that it's a big troll thing. It's just, I don't know. I'm bummed. Anyway, I'm going to cut it off there. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Why? Stavin' why? Shamita.